Welcome back to Dunn On Purpose Podcast. This is a strong, calm conversation. Calm, C-O-M, the root word that means together or in common. Use that as a springboard to talk about communication, community building, and how when you have strong communication, community building, you have a stronger company, whether that's the company that you're building like your business or the company that you keep. Today, I've got a great guest, Mitchell Hancock. He has become a friend of mine over the last year because he's a member of our B&I chapter, and we have grown in our relationship over the course of this last year because we see each other every week. And so, yeah, it's been really good. So, Mitchell, you are the owner of Kilgore Lawn and Landscape in Kilgore, Texas.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. So that's the brief intro, my intro, but how would you introduce yourself?
Well, like you said, I'm Mitchell Hancock, owner of Kilgore Lawn and Landscape, also father to 4 children, and husband to a beautiful wife, Amy. We live in Kilgore and have since 2013. We love Kilgore and everything there is about it.
All right, so how long have you been in Kilgore?
Since 2013, so about 13 years.
13 years. And then where did you come from?
I grew up in South Carolina, so in a city that's in the northwest called Greenville.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty large. It feels larger every time I go back.
Yeah.
Especially after living in Kilgore. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the population difference?
Oh, wow. I don't know what Greenville's at now, but...
Is it millions, hundreds of thousands?
It's probably 100. I guess so. Yeah.
So
versus Kilgore at 13,000.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So because Tyler's at 100,000, just a little bit over. So it's kind of like a Tyler almost.
Yes, but it's been in the top 10 fastest growing cities in America for a long time. So
Gotcha.
I'm not sure what they're at now, but they're always growing.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So from South Carolina, moved to Kilgore, been here for a long time, or for 13 years, it's a good amount of time. How long have you had Kilgore Lawn and Landscape?
Really since 2013, right when I moved here, but not officially until 2015, I guess, because when I moved here, my wife's brother was already operating the business.
Okay.
And so I bought the business from him and then changed the name. He was Cutting Edge Lawncare, and I changed it to Kilgore Lawn and Landscape when I bought it. So.
Got it.
But that's when I moved here. I started with working with him immediately for my job, and then he ended up moving to California, so I bought it from him. So.
Awesome. What was the reasoning behind the name change? Just because, hey, this is mine, this is what I think, or what was the?
Part of it was for just, I guess they call it search engine optimization, SEO.
Yes. Yeah.
And I thought if someone is typing in Kilgore Lawn Company or something like that into a search engine, then maybe my name would pop up.
Yeah.
And without me actually having to spend the money to get my name to pop up. Yeah.
Organic reach, yeah.
And it sure did at the beginning. Now I know because I haven't been paying the money that my name's dropped down in the list, and it's not on the first page when you search it. But
sure.
So that was part of it, and it was. I've always had the love for Kilgore. As soon as we moved here, I fell in love with the community, and so I wanted the name in my business name.
Yeah.
Because, I was intentional from the beginning to restrict my service area to the Kilgore and the Kilgore area, and not make a Texas-wide company or anything like that. So,
right. So intentional from the start to be focused on Kilgore in that community.
Right.
Got it.
Right.
So what did you do before you got into owning a business? Because you went from whatever you did. So what did you do before you started lawn and landscaping?
Well, through high school, I did do some landscaping in high school for the school I went to. I went to Bob Jones University from basically first grade through grad school. And then I also worked at the dining hall most of my time there at the school. So we would serve thousands of meals every day, and I worked my way up through the dining hall to becoming a manager and overseeing all the cleanup crews and things like that. So that's where I got a lot of management training there. And then after graduating from college, I actually taught math for a couple of years. So
okay, so
Yeah.
the reason I asked is because did you foresee yourself as a business owner? Did you foresee yourself getting into business like in the way that you are now?
Oh no, I not, especially not in college. No,
Yeah, interesting.
I kind of thought I would be an architect in college, and I tailored my major to go into that field.
Yeah,
So that's why I took a lot more math classes and all the drafting classes they had and all that. But then ended up teaching math, and then ended up owning a lawn business. So
yeah, awesome. The reason I ask is because there's so much out there, these days about entrepreneurship, starting your own business. There's so much into that, right? And so I just think it's interesting because your story, like getting to know you over the past year, it's never been you've shared your story in a variety of different ways through feature presentations, stuff like that. But it was never like I couldn't wait to just go ahead and start a business, right? It was you became a business owner, but it wasn't like I'm going to do this.
right,
It was just kind of a natural development of how your life went.
right.
And so I just think that's interesting for whatever reason.
There's values behind what I do. So those values are drivers in the path that I chose. So the specifics are all downstream of that. So actually owning a business is downstream of value. Say like one that immediately jumps to my mind is serving other people. Mm-hmm. So I have this strong value of serving others, and owning this business is a way to do that.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. We align in that because a long time ago I decided, hey, I'm going to position myself, I'm going to put myself in these values. This is the commitment that I'm going to make to customers, anybody that I do business with. And I decided on 5. I was in the car business at the time when I did that, and values are great because they don't change. You just kind of get shaped by them over time. And so I've looked back and I'm like, man, I've done all kinds of different stuff, but the values have always been there. It's just
right.
The way that they apply. So this is you teed me up great for that, because I wanted to ask you the village question that I've asked so many other people on this platform. The village question being, if you were to start a village from scratch, somebody said, hey, Mitchell, I've got this land and we need to bring people together. We've got 4 billboards on the directions going into the town, northwest, south, east. You need to put a value there so that we bring about value-driven individuals. So what value would you select on those 4 different signs to attract those
Wow.
people?
Okay. It doesn't have to be one word.
No.
So it doesn't have to be like a catchy, pithy saying.
No, it does not.
Okay.
Unless you just want it to be.
I mean, if you're making a billboard, you would want something like that. But no. Yeah, that's a good question. And I think about how to answer it without being reductionist, I guess. Because let me ask a clarifying question.
Yeah.
And restate it in this way.
Okay.
Are you asking, can you boil down civic society as we see it to 4 values?
That's a great way to re-ask the question. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's no right or wrong. It's just
Okay.
kind of a fun prompt to get values that you hold dear. And so, that's a great question too. But at the same time, like how would you want to bring people together? What 4 values would you choose?
Okay, and I'll answer it. There's one other caveat before I give you 4 values, and that is
I love it.
these would be different if I was saying the values of the government for the people,
Okay.
rather than these are the values of the people for the people, because I believe that those don't always line up perfectly. So in other words, there should be strong values that the government should hold, that I think some of which are embodied in our American government, which I think is the best type of government, a constitutional republic,
Yeah.
where values such as like we're not going to infringe upon the God-given rights of the people, things like that, and we're going to treat everyone equally and those types of things.
Sure.
But then when it comes to how people, where everyday common citizen treats the other citizens, those would be different.
Yeah.
Because they're not the government treating each other. So
Sure, that makes sense.
So,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I like that. Whichever one you want to go with, the people or the government, either way is fine.
Well, since you said 4, what immediately popped in my mind was the Rotary 4-way test.
Okay.
I'm part of the Rotary Club.
Yeah, I was going to
And
ask
we
about that too.
repeat the 4-way test in every meeting. So we stand up at the end. It's on this blue banner up in the front of the room. Of course, we all have it memorized because we say it every week. And it was, this is a 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do, written by Paul Harris, the founder of Rotary. And number 1, is it the truth? So truth would be that value. And that's getting into integrity. And this would apply to government and people, but especially as people treat each other rightly, they need to treat each other with integrity, and not just in the things they say, like I'm going to avoid telling a lie, but also I'm not going to live a lie. Like I'm not going to live a facade in front of you that's not who I truly am.
Right. It speaks to authenticity as well.
Correct. Yes. Yes. So that would be number 1 would be truth. Number 2 is the question, is this fair to all concerned? Now this question would be different depending on whether government or the citizens, because government must treat all the citizens under it in the same way, whereas this idea of equity comes in with individuals and how they treat each other. So I may treat you differently than someone else depending on any number of factors. For example, in order for society to thrive, or this village to thrive, the strong must help the weak. So if someone's weaker, they must be taken care of by those who are stronger, have more resources, and are able to pick them up. And in turn, when they help raise those people up, get them on their feet, and they grow strong, then they would in turn reach out to those weaker than them, and so on. So men should care for women. Men and women should care for children who are weaker than them. Should care for the elderly or the infirmed, things like that. So that question, is it fair to all concerned, does not mean I'm treating everyone the same, but I'm treating everyone the way I would want to be treated if I was in their position.
Yes, love it. Okay.
So that's 2. The third question will be beneficial. No, that's the 4th question. Third question is, will it build goodwill and better friendships? This is an interesting question. I'm not sure exactly what Paul Harris was getting at when he made this for the Rotary. Obviously, we do want to build friendships as we go around and interact with people and things like that. But it's more than just like a chummy, like how big is your friend group type thing. I think he's getting at just a general respect for everyone and who they are, knowing that everyone is made in the image of God and deserves respect, regardless of some biases you may have or anything like that. So I don't know if this is what Paul Harris meant, but I would say respect is what that third question will build goodwill and better friendships.
Yeah, so you have truth, respect. What was the second one then, if you were thinking about? Would it be like equity or?
Yeah, is it fair to all concerned is the question.
Fairness, yeah.
Yeah, so it would be truth, fairness, or equity. And then the third one would be respect for other people by building goodwill and better friendships. And that's also getting at the golden rule to, treat others as you would have them treat you. And then the last will be beneficial to all concerned. And that's definitely, the golden rule kind of applies to all of them, but
Sure.
That one's definitely like, okay, this decision that I'm going to do in society, living in this village, maybe put me ahead, but is it going to put several other people down? No, that's not a good decision for me to make. I'm not in it for just myself. So it's like when I come into this village, when I see the billboard, I'm committed to serving others, to benefit them, and also I'm coming into. I'm not saying who was it? Kennedy that said, "Don't ask what America could do for you, but ask what you can do for America."
for your country. Yeah.
That idea, yes. How can I serve the people around me? They're not there to just raise me up.
Right.
I'm there to serve them.
Yes.
And I think that's what that fourth question is: it beneficial to all concerned? I think what that's getting at. So.
Excellent.
So, I don't have very many original thoughts. I probably have no original thoughts. So I'm gonna steal from the Rotary and go with those 4.
Yeah, still like an artist. I like it. No, that's good. That's good. I was going to ask you about that anyway. The Rotary and your involvement in that. But yeah, those are great. I had never heard that from the Rotary. I don't think I've ever been to a Rotary meeting. I need to go.
You should come.
Yeah, definitely. Because yeah, that's good. That's good. And I appreciate your thinking around it. Some, everybody answers the question a little bit different, of course. But you speaking about your experience as architect and mathematics and things like that, you're a very thoughtful person. Very thoughtful, very intentional. And you're like, okay, how can I really approach this? And I appreciate that about you. And so...
curious to know what the other answers are. I've never heard that question before. So
I made it up. I made it up on the spot during a conversation like this, and I was like, how can I, I don't know how it really came up, but it's been like 5 years ago, and so, yeah, I'll send you the link.
Okay.
Yeah, well, one of these days I'll collect them all, so because I'm curious too on how, I know they're all different. There's been a few, like love or whatever, that are pretty broad values that people associate with, but for the most part, people are very specifically different. It's really interesting. Cool. Thanks for answering that. That's great. So that is what's a 4-way test. Okay. That's what that's called.
Yes.
Okay. And so that's a great frame. I'm a big fan of frames. And then you shared a couple frames in one of your feature presentations for BNI. Do you remember what they were? Do you recall them?
Yes. The EDGE method and
yes.
The stages of team development. That's right.
Yeah. So what's the EDGE method, just real quick? What is that?
Okay, so it's an acronym, EDGE, E-D-G-E. So each letter stands for a different word, so I just found out about your podcast and started listening to it.
Yeah.
And you have something called power acronyms.
Yes.
I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe you can tell me what it is after. But
well, Power acronym is the newsletter that I write, but over time I've created, curated, collected acronyms that I find interesting. And so over time, the collection has grown to over 200. And
wow.
Yeah, and so I borrow those ideas from people that I think are interesting. And just think about them, or I want to share them with people because people are unaware of them. And I think they're really helpful and constructive. They're easy to remember and people can, benefit from them. And then as an exercise or as I come up with different things, I'm like, oh, how could that be an acronym? What would that be? So like I've got them for a lot of different things. And so that's just, and then I was like, well, what if I just created a huge library of them? That's Power acronym. And so I got excited when you're like, I got an acronym called EDGE. I'm like, let's go, I'm the guy.
Use this one, yeah.
So what is it? What is it?
It's used to teach any skill, but as you get, it's easiest to understand and think about if you're teaching a skill, I use the EDGE method. And that's how they teach it in Scouts. But then to think about it some more and kind of meditate on it, you realize that, I can actually apply this to teaching not just skills, but concepts, or even getting people aligned on the same goal or things like that. So if I was teaching a skill, like how to tie a square knot, we teach our scouts how to tie square knots. So I would say, all right, I'm going to start with the explain step. That's the first E in edge. I'm going to explain to you how to tie a square knot. I'm going to take 2 ropes and tie the left end over the right end, and then tie the right end over the left end and pull it tight. And that'll tie a square knot. All I did is just talk you through it.
Right.
Okay? I didn't even do it because that's the next step, which is the D, is demonstrate. That's when you actually take the rope out and you demonstrate by showing who you're teaching how to tie a square knot. You show them, okay, this is what it looks like. I explain it at the same time, again, while I'm demonstrating, but I show them with the rope, and they're watching me. They're seeing the ends go over left over right, right over left, so on.
Yep.
After that, I hand them the rope, and I'm going to guide them. So that's the G.
Yeah.
And they will take the ropes and themselves try to tie a square knot. Left over right, right over left, and pull it tight. While they're doing that, since I'm guiding, I'm talking them through like, oh no, you got that rope flipped on the other side. You need to come to this side before you pull it tight, or whatever it is they need help with. And then the last E would be enable. So that would be where they are now enabled to tie a square knot on their own without my help. I can observe them do it, and but they're now empowered. They have a new knowledge of a new knot they can tie. It's useful for joining 2 ropes together, and they can do it on their own. So it's explain, demonstrate, guide, and enable. That's the EDGE method.
Love it. Love it. See, I love it because it's so universally applicable to so many different things.
Yes.
And if you, it's a tool in the tool belt, right? For anybody to use, it'd be like, okay, well, if I could just, why are you not getting this? Well, if I use the EDGE method, you are equipping yourself and the person you're trying to teach, guide someone through multiple different ways of exploring this new thing.
Right.
And so I'm interested in communication, obviously. And so neuro-linguistic programming, have you heard of it?
No.
So it is the practice of and study of how language affects our neurology.
Okay.
It's very interesting. But the reason I bring that up is because they have an acronym, and it talks about it's VACOG, I believe, is how you would say it. But it stands for visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory or something like that, which is like smells, and then like the gastry system, like how something would like the inside of your being or whatever. Like your taste. Yeah. It's taste. It's taste is what it is. So your
like
senses.
The 5 senses.
It's the 5 senses. But what I was thinking about it, as you're explaining the EDGE method, it's visual, it's auditory, because you're guiding somebody through it as you explain it, and then you do it so it's kinesthetic, And so I was making that link because it's very interesting how those 2 things connect. Right. And of course, you're going to have less on taste unless you really want to taste the rope, I guess. Right. You get a deep experience with it. But I just thought that was interesting. And thanks for sharing that, because I think it's a really cool way for people to learn.
Yeah, it helps me slow down when I'm teaching a skill too, and not skip a step, because I think with those 5 senses, different people are prone to learn in one of those more than others. So you've heard people, I'm a visual learner, or I'm an auditory learner, or whatever.
Yes.
And so I use the EDGE method all the time in my business, but if I'm teaching a new employee a skill that he needs to do in order to perform his job, my tendency is, let's rush through this as fast as possible so we can just get the job done and move on.
Yep.
But if I intentionally go through the 4 steps of the EDGE, then I'm not going to skip that explain step, because he might be an auditory learner and he needs to hear it.
Right.
And then when I'm demonstrating, I am explaining it again, and that repetition is the key that people need. They need to hear it one time.
Yes.
Then they need to hear it and see it and then that's when it clicks.
Yes.
Whereas, there might be somebody that you could just explain it to them without showing them in their, just visualizing it in their brain, and they can go out and do it. But you don't know that when you're training somebody. So if you do all four, it forces you to slow down, and then they actually get it's a higher, at least a higher percentage of success that they'll learn the skill. And do it right. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So you mentioned Scouts, and you've also mentioned, training new employees, and how, those two different examples of how you'd use the EDGE method and apply it. And so I wanted to talk to you also about your role in Scouts, and just kind of talk to you about it, because from getting to know you, you've said multiple times, and I can see it, that you are a leader of men. You love to mentor young men. And then, as a Scout leader, you do that. As a business owner, you do that. And so, one, want to acknowledge you for that, honor you for that. I think that's excellent, and we need more men like you to do that. You have your experience in Scouts. You're an Eagle Scout, right?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, I was in Boy Scouts. I got to like Webelow, I think, and then dropped out. I don't know. And so for whatever reason, I just didn't. I stopped. And so there are times where I've been like, man, that would have been a good skill to learn, or like go through to continue, but it was not the cards of my life. For you, what did Scouts mean for you growing up, and then how has it been for you to continue to lead people through the program?
It was a really important part of my growing up life. I'm a twin too. I have a twin brother who's always in Scouts with me, and so that was great that we got to share the experiences together. But it also helped me grow as an individual, to go out in the woods, go camping. We went camping, once a month, just like do for my troop here. And there's something about just getting away from the direct supervision of your parents, them not being right there. So you're out on the camp out, or sometimes you're out or playing a game like we'd call it Foxes and Hounds. It's basically a hide and seek game in the woods. And you're out in the middle of the woods all by yourself. As a boy, that's really good for them to develop, because they're realizing, I can start making decisions for myself, and go out here and not get lost out in the woods, find my way back, and survive and even thrive outside, away from all the normal comforts that we have living inside a house and all that. So I think that's a really good experience for them. And of course, it was a lot of fun, and made a lot of friends through the scouting program growing up. What was the second part of your question?
Well, I'm just interested in I'm thinking about the impact of Scouts now, and I'm thinking about how that could impact young people, and how it has for hundreds of years, over 100.
Right. Yeah.
And so, but I'm also thinking about it's like, at the same time, it's absolutely important and probably more relevant to do than ever. And I think at the same time, it's probably less relevant culturally and less intriguing maybe to young people, possibly more than ever. Is that true, or is that not true?
I mean, there's not as much draw now?
Yes.
Culturally?
I feel like for young people, there's so much competing for their attention.
Right.
And there's so much online, digital communities to be a part of, all this stuff that distracts a young person, a young man. And then, but at the same time, all of that are great reasons to plug into something like the tradition of Scouts and scouting, and how much value there is there. And so I wanted to like bring that up and share that with you and just get your thoughts on that kind of polarity.
Yes.
Like how they kind of are diverging, but at the same time it's an answer to a cultural problem, I think, that we're experiencing, that it's like, where's all the strong men at? Well, they're definitely not being raised up as they used to be,
Yes. And we haven't changed that much from, our troop doesn't look that different from what it would have maybe even 60, 70 years ago. So we are, we are in the traditions and innovation, but we're definitely on the tradition side as far as like the values.
Right.
So our Kilgore troop that's here, one of our slogans on the back of our hats is timeless values, because we take the Scout oath and the Scout law and say, this is what we're going to live by, not just on Tuesday nights when we meet for Scout meetings, not just on campouts for once a month when we go and spend the night out in the woods, but also just in our everyday life. Like this is who we're going to be as individuals. And so we take the points of the Scout law and teach the young men how to be trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And talk about every single one of those 12 points and what it means. And it's the same things that Baden-Powell, who started Scouts, it's really the same truths that he was teaching. In fact, I have his original, not like the original handbook, but a copy of the original, a reprint of the original.
Yeah.
And I use that book to teach out of. So this is going back to whatever, 1910, 1913.
Awesome.
That edition of the handbook is what I read to them out of.
Yeah.
So in that way, the values haven't changed, because it's the truths that according to Baden-Powell, every boy should know these before he becomes a man.
Yeah.
And it's not actually earning the rank of Eagle Scout. We have 6 different ranks in Scouts, and the third one is first class. So there it goes: tenderfoot, second class, first class. And he says that once you get to first class, that's like the minimum to be an effective society, to be a boy that's grown into a man. You must have these things down. And so that's the goal, even for the boys in our troop, is that each one would hit first class. Now, there are some that do go on to earn Eagle, which is above and beyond the norm, and it's way less than 50%.
Yeah.
That actually do that, and it's a lot of hard work, but yeah, timeless values. It's what we strive to teach them, and that's what this generation needs, just like every other generation.
Right.
I don't even say more so. It's been the same. I mean, we all.
Yeah, exactly. we all. I mean, everybody's raised through their own cultural moment, but it's like the timeless values are really what builds people and what gives you a basis for, I don't know, good life. And so that's why I don't know, over time, as I've matured and made mistakes and things like that, I've like, it always comes back to these types of timeless values, whatever, like you listed the Boy Scout ones, or the ones from Rotary, right? Or even the ones that we align on in BNI, like they all have their different applications and reasons or whatnot, but like this is why so many businesses, or why you hear it in so much business language and talk of like values are so important. The difference is how you actually make them evident in your business.
Yes.
And how you actually, and it's not even in your business, it's in your life. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the values of the leader and how they become evident. And then
the practical use.
Yes, and then how they transfer from me to you or to another individual. That's really what the difference maker is to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to be courteous of your time. I I just wanted to also, like, I'm like, man, I haven't thought about Scouts in so long. And so, like, I appreciate that you're doing it, doing that. Okay, so.
I guess I can give one disclaimer, or not disclaimer, one justification for why scouting should still exist.
Sure.
If you want.
Yeah.
Just because this goes out there, and some people hear Boy Scouts, and especially if they follow like conservative news media and things like that, then there's almost this visceral reaction to it, like, that organization has just lost its way. And to use the words of Pete Hegseth recently, he comes on and says, yeah, they've lost their way. And I just saw a clickbait YouTube video the other day. It's like, how has Boy Scouts of America been destroyed? And it's like, okay, it hasn't been, but okay.
Yes.
Like, dude, National has actually done a great job of keeping hands-off approach to the local units. So the decisions that are made nationally don't always trickle down to us down, and it's really up to. So you could have a good Boy Scout troop, or you could have a bad Boy Scout troop, and really it's not as a result of anything that National is making decisions about. It's what is the local leadership of that troop like. That's really what makes a good troop or not. I'm
glad you said that.
We don't have girls in our troop. Girls aren't allowed to join our troop. It's a male-only troop, and that if you just hear the news, you think, oh, it's just boys and girls all together now, and there's no difference. In order to have a girl in your troop, you actually have to start a girls' troop with girl leadership and with female leadership, whatever, and they keep it separate that way. Mm-hmm. They did make a way that I found out recently where you can have a co-ed troop, but that's really been around in venturing, which is a different segment of scouting since the 80s. It's the reason they added it to the Boy Scout program, which I'm fine with, by the way, is just to get more numbers because they were declining in membership. So
yeah.
For some families, I think that's even a great option. So a sister can go in there and brother, and each have their own troop, or sometimes they meet nearby each other and things like that. But
I'm glad you I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing I like to say is local leadership will change the world, and I think that so much of our media, of course, is it's clickbait, broad stroke, shallow, and quick. And so it's, just like you said, like, oh, whatever sensational is, it catches people's attention and then influences how they think about a thing, but they don't think about Mitchell Hancock and Kilgore leading kids on a monthly, camping trip, teaching them these timeless values, right? Like that, all the crazy headwinds and headlines and stuff like that don't phase you to a certain degree, because you're like, well, I'm just committed to the same thing I've been committed to this entire time. And so I think that it's unfortunate that so much, and this could apply to anything, not just Scouts, but like so much of our attention gets swept away on these rabbit trails, when in reality you've got a lot of good happening. And if you just learned a little bit more, or you focused a little bit more, or you were just aware of what's happening in your local community, you would realize that it's not burning down to the ground or whatever. Right.
I don't know how political you get, but it's not woke in our troop. So it's like the rainbow brush gets painted on the whole organization, and we've had actually boys in our troop struggle with transgenderism, for example, and we were able to help them and reach them. We see how you're struggling with this, and help them out of that. And now they're grown up into strong men and are thriving. Yeah. So rather than saying, well, I'm going to walk away from this because they're all it's doing the exact opposite of what people are projecting onto it, I'd say. But
yeah. See, You asked me how political I get. It's like it's very loaded, right? Like you could feel like how it could be or whatever. It's to me though. It's like that's the exact point that I'm trying to make. Is that why are we making a very local thing extremely political? It doesn't necessarily have to be, and like so much of our news media and stuff is all about spin anyway, and so I don't spend a lot of time getting emotionally wound up with lots of sensational headlines because I, one, give benefit of the doubt. Maybe I extend grace too far sometimes because it's just really out of ignorance. Like I'm not going to judge a particular situation because I only know about 8 words that headline says and whatever the article says, and I'm not going to make a whole opinion about whatever the thing that is happening is, without some actual due diligence. And so, what is that?
I wish more people did that.
That'd be nice. So, like, there's a time to say something. There's a time to speak up. There's a time to, maybe get a little upset about a particular thing. But what is that? Abraham Lincoln, or at least attributed to him? It's like, better be thought a fool and stay silent than open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Oh yeah.
Like I think about that, of just like I'm not gonna be like, oh, everything's woke and it's silly to me, and that's why I think it's the difference is the local leadership. Like that is what is most important, and like for me, I think is this: we need better local leaders that are just focused on improving the people around us and less about like how can I get more fame or attention or status or money or whatever. And the higher you climb in political rank or whatever, leadership, or the harder I think that gets, the thinner the air gets. But I think that's why to me it's that much more important to have the values that anchor you.
Right.
Deeper, like
100%. Yeah.
So, all right. So, see, I knew this would be a good conversation.
Keeps coming back to those first principles, those values.
That's it. Kilgore Lawn and Landscape. You said at the recent meeting, and we're kind of shifting, and it's not a hard and fast breakdown as I talk about communication, community building, company, because I believe they're all somewhat integrated. That's how I think about the frame. But shifting into company a little bit, you said at our last meeting, Kilgore Lawn and Landscape, the fastest growing lawn and landscaping company in Kilgore, and I appreciated that. So thank you. Congratulations. What makes you say that?
It certainly feels like that with the amount of work coming in, and we had 5 crews out this past week, which I've never had that before. I've had 4, but 5 was a new record for me. So feels and I keep buying trucks and another trailer, and here we go. Outfit another crew. Let's go. So I've been investing a lot back into the business recently, and it's just seen a lot of thriving too with my employees. So I hire all young men, and then I hire some older men, like in their 30s or 40s, to mentor those young men. Like some of these guys are in high school, some are in college, and I split them up in crews and kind of oversee. I'm not always out with them. That's where most of the mentorship happens, because it just takes time being with them.
Right.
So not that I don't want to do it, but I have to delegate because of the amount of work that I have, but also to effectively mentor them, it has to be delegated to these other men who I handpick. Like I approach them, the older men, and say, hey, do you want to get on board with what I'm doing here in Kilgore Lawn and Landscape? Yes, we're a lawn company where we go and mow yards and do landscaping projects and things like that, but we're also a mentoring company, that doesn't pay anything, of course, but in the long run it does, because these young men are going to learn soft skills in order to be better employees for whatever job they go into in the future. They will be better workers for this company, but I realize that most of them probably won't do this the rest of their life. And so whenever they go on to their next job, I want them to be better equipped to work in that job, and their new employer to be like, wow, what amazing worker. How did you become like this? Like, oh, well, I was trained Kilgore Lawn Landscape and
Yeah.
do it. So got some men.
Where does that come from for you?
The idea of mentoring, or
Yes, because it's so close to how you think about it.
I was mentored myself by a couple of guys in their 30s when I was going through junior high and through high school. That was really beneficial for me. In fact, so that's a rough age for young men.
Sure.
Going through puberty, and you just start encountering different situations. You start to think differently because your brain's changing. And your parents are your primary disciple makers. I 100% agree with that. But also, there's needs to be more input into your life than just parents, because you're going to encounter situations that you can't account for, just like in preparation. While your parents are raising you, they'll do the best they can. They should love you and train you the best they can, but you're going to be put in a situation where you have to make a decision that could be a moral decision that you don't even know what's the right path to take here, or just how to behave in a certain situation. You're put in a place where you're uncomfortable and you're not sure, how should I act in this situation? My parents never talked to me about this. I didn't know I'd end up here. Well, this is where like these men in their 30s, 40s, things like that, can play a crucial role. So I would find myself in a situation like that in junior high, high school, and I would think, how would Nathan, the guy who mentored me, how would he act in this situation? And I knew him well enough because he had spent enough time with me. I could pretty much guess how he would act. Or should he speak up in this situation? Let's say I'm with a group of friends and they start talking in a way they shouldn't. Should I speak up? Should I just sit back? I'm awkward here. I don't know what to do. And I say, what would Nathan do in this? I think he would say something. So I'm gonna say something and see what happens, and kind of push back against what they're doing. Things like that. Whereas your parents can train those things, I think it's really important to have some older men investing in younger men's lives to help them through that. So
yeah, absolutely, that's awesome. I really respect for your approach and how you think about that, because and a couple routes that I would like to go on that, but one thing that's interesting to me is it's like in business terms, like that is, I've never ran a business, but in management of them, like that value transfer and that mentorship, like that's the hard stuff to do, and it's hard to scale out to a lot of different people, right? Like it's extremely difficult to do, but it's also extremely beneficial, like you said, in building trust with a community, and like you're building men that could be future leaders of Kilgore or wherever they go. And so like the foundation that you're giving them is incredibly powerful, right?
all right.
Do you think that's something that it's like you didn't enter into this as like, I'm going to be a business person and I'm going to like scale this business up, like we started at the front, right? It's like no, I'm going to do this the way that you believe it should be done.
Right. I just got into the business to serve people and didn't have aspirations of even running multiple crews. It was always me going out at first, and then eventually I went to 2 crews, and it grew organically. But yeah.
So where would you say the source of your growth is coming from?
Well, I would have to say, really, I put it all in the hands of God. In a sense, and that sounds like vague. Like, how does that work? But I do pray about my business a lot, and I say, all right, God, if you want it to grow, then you'll bring the people. And I am intentional. I've done a little bit of advertising, not very much. I haven't done any online stuff like I mentioned earlier. And I have joined BNI, which is a networking group to grow a business. But God's really the one that provided the work, and I found that growing it as far as getting customers, that was the easy part. The hard part was getting the right workers to go out and do the work, and that's still the hardest part. So I would say anyone with a certain level of competency can scale a business to where they actually have the amount of work coming in, but having the right employees to go out and do that work to make that company sustainable is very challenging.
Yeah.
That's the hard part right there.
Yeah, that's really where the work is, right? Like,
yes.
Awesome.
So,
I'm the reason I wanted to ask that is because, like, if you frame it up as fastest growing, right? You know, it's like if you headline it, right, like in that way, right, and it's like, oh wow, what tactic did you use, Mitchell? And it's not a tactic. There's not a thing. There's not a I put money here, and I actually have 10 billboards, and boy did that work, or or whatever. It wasn't digital marketing. You don't have really a lot of social media presence, right? And like sometimes you're like, man, I should do that, but there's a lot of shoulds out there, I guess, but at the same time, what I want to highlight about your story and how you approach your business is that you didn't think about all that stuff.
Right.
Deeply, anyway. You know, you're aware of it, but you're focusing, like, you're keeping the main thing. And you're just serving people how you believe that you need to, putting trust in God, and your business is growing.
Yes. And it helps that I've been in business for 13 years too.
Sure.
So a lot of young guys I see out, they're like, oh, I can just start my own lawn business, make more than I would like working for somebody.
Right.
It's like, I think, okay, to a certain extent maybe, but getting it takes time. There's just this, it's not a get rich quick scheme. I'd say that.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I think it's important to, and this is part of the reason why I do these type of conversations is because, one, I like to have conversations with people that I enjoy talking with, but also I think it's important that I want to highlight and give honor to people like yourself who are growing a business locally, doing it in the way that you're doing it, because it shows that you can be successful, raise a family, give to your community, be respected in your community, in your area, and have all the things that you want to have in a happy life, right? And you don't have to do all this other crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there are multiple ways for someone to have a business and grow a business, and but it's also one of those things where it's like marketing techniques and different things will come and go, but the timeless values that you are focused on implementing in your life, like those things are the things that persist. Mm-hmm. And you're not only growing your business, you're growing the people, and like because you're growing the people, you're growing your business. I just think that's awesome.
Yeah.
One thing you said in a featured presentation, I want to kind of wrap it up here, was stewardship like you had talked to something about, and correct me, I'm not trying to say what you said incorrectly, but something about being a steward as a lawn and landscape of God's creation.
Oh, yes.
And I wanted to ask you about that, and then kind of pair it with this question of just how is landscaping more than make the yard look good? Obviously, it can be it is that simple in some ways. It's like, I got weeds, please cut them, or whatever it is. But like, how is it more than that to you?
Well, the last 2 years, I and a group of friends, well, two other guys, we've been teaching through the book of Genesis at our church, starting at Genesis 1:1, the very first verse of the Bible, and we're going through chapter 11. So we've been slowly going down the road, turning over every rock, and chasing rabbit trails and all that.
Sure.
So we're in Genesis 10. Hopefully we'll finish up soon. But a big theme in that, especially in the first couple chapters, is how chaos is pushed out by order. So as God created the world, he pushed back the chaos that it started out as with ordering creation. Something that I had never seen or heard talked about. Maybe I hadn't, just didn't actually register. But it's, if you look at Genesis 1, especially, how many times it's like the word separated comes up, or he gathered together, or he formed up, things like that. Those type of verbs show up way more than created, even. So how the writers of the Bible thought about how we should take dominion and rule over the creation, like we were called to do in that first chapter, is they thought, well, let's push back against the chaos of creation. And part of that is, as we find out later in chapter 3, a result of the fall, where there's thorns and thistles growing up. So that's what we do. We take the thorns and thistles, push them back, and make beautiful landscapes and yards for people. But that idea, even though we are directly out in nature, and okay, if I let this yard go, it's going to look like crazy. There'll be all sorts of problems like rats. And so when you're pushing back against chaos by creating order, we're doing it out, specifically with nature, like they did. Man was put in the garden to work it originally, so we're working in people's gardens, we're actually doing it that way. But I think that can apply to your job, or any job, really. I think you should be able to articulate how you're doing that, and as fulfilling the commission that was given, that still applies to today, to you and to me. We're still part of the same story that we find all the way back there in the beginning. But you are putting roofs over people's heads so that they can thrive and live with their families and not have to worry about water coming in their house and causing damage, which cause mold, which cause sickness, and right. All that. You're pushing against the chaos too by creating order in that way. Or my friend that's teaching this class with me is a realtor. He puts people in the houses, and shelter is one of the important necessities of life. And it's one way that we push back against the chaos of the world around us. So that theme of creating order from chaos is found in Genesis 1, but also we should apply it to even our own vocation, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I think we should think about how does that work? How does that apply?
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. Dude, this is a great conversation. I really appreciate you being my guest. I hope the audience got something out of it. If they didn't, they weren't listening, obviously. And so I'm going to have you go back and repeat it. But Kilgore Lawn and Landscape, Mitchell Hancock, connect with him. Get him to, if you live in Kilgore and you don't have him helping you out, you need to. And he's going, I don't know. But I would love nothing more than to be a catalyst for your 6th crew. So we'll see if
Okay.
that happens.
Oh boy, yes. Okay.
Awesome. And you know what's really cool to think about is how, you know, as you scale and grow, it's not just your business scaling and growing and the lawns and landscapes looking great. It's how the men that work with you are growing and
Yes.
able to scale themselves, if you're going to use that word, and be better men for the people that they're, you know, called to take care of.
That's what we're striving for.
That's awesome. And so we need more of that for sure. And so thank you, man. Really appreciate you.
Yep.